Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta, no matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be. Thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. It is another win in the Champions League, West Ham coming up, and some RAF issues, hence my title for today's show, Mikel's Top Gunners. Let's do a flyby with our friend Pedro, aka LeGrove.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hello, squaddies. Welcome to another live episode of the show. For those listening on our audio platforms, Apple and Spotify, thank you for also making us part of your day. Don't forget to hit the like button. We are close to that 20K, and we would love to make that number as soon as possible. And if you are listening on our audio platforms, make sure you subscribe. Let's rock and roll. Let's get straight into it. Squaddies, I will not be rude today. I will salute you at ease, Welcome to the show. Pedro, welcome back. It's good to have you back.
Great to be on the show. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I want to talk to you about something. Let's get stuck into this, Squaddies, because, by the way, I lost my ring light. So if I'm a little bit blurry today, please forgive me. You can cope on YouTube. Pedro, I don't know what's going on in the universe, but I was on TalkSport last weekend, and we'll get to the game, we'll get to all of that stuff, but I find this conversation with you far more interesting. And I talked to Andrew Mangan, aka Arsblog, about this a couple of days ago regarding Mikel Arteta. And when I was on TalkSport, Max Rushton, he writes for The Guardian, respected journalist. He wanted to ask me about Mikel, and it's kind of like Mikel is more hated than Mourinho, I feel, these days. And look, I went through a phase where I didn't really like him and I thought he was unlikable. And I'm going to ask everyone this when they come on the show. Because the whole thing that blew up with regards to the RAF thing, which wasn't even current, by the way, and the way Jamie O'Hara reacted to it. And what I said to Max is, this has got to stop. Everyone's got to find a new toy to play with and stop throwing their toys out of the pram when it comes to Arsenal. It's boring. It's getting old. It's obvious. It's pathetic. And I said what probably gets people's goat up is the way Mikel addresses things in pressers, because he's so arrogant in that we are the best team in Europe after losing to PSG. And also, our 5-1 against Manchester City wasn't as good as the 1-1. What is going on, and why are people so afraid of new thinkers?
I think people are afraid of things that they don't understand. Jamie O'Hara has been a professional footballer. He's never worked a day in a proper organization that isn't built around his thoughts or his personality. He's never had to motivate a team. He's never had to read a book on culture and how great leaders do things. So when some don't want to be disrespectful to journalists as well. It's like when you're a journalist, you are paid for your words or your thoughts. You don't have to really function within a team. So you get a lot of journalists criticizing it. It's like, but when you've worked in a high performance organization, where you have to rely on a team, where you have to have shared values, a shared mission, like a purpose, a belief, you understand what he's doing. You understand that Mikel Arteta is dealing with young millionaires that don't have to work another day in their life after a single contract, and his job is to keep them engaged on the mission. And he will beg, borrow, and steal from all over the world. He's connected to a lot of coaches. I'm pretty sure he's well read as well. I'm pretty sure he reads books. And I know that sounds like a patronizing thing to say about a football manager, but the way that he talks and the way that he uses language speaks to somebody that is trying to educate himself on all sorts of things. Maybe listens to audiobooks. And when you work in an organization, things that seem cringe to the outside seem very meaningful from the inside. But the only thing we really need to worry about is, are players engaged? And they are, because they keep on signing new deals. Are they performing? Yeah, they are. We didn't win a major trophy last year, but we got to the semi-finals of the Champions League, which is a massive achievement. We finished second in the Premier League 3 times in a row. And I think the mocking state of it, I think it comes from him not having a major trophy. I think once he wins a major trophy, all of that stops, because then you can say, well, whatever he does is working. It's like Mourinho. Mourinho landed in the Premier League and he said, I'm the special one. And they mocked him. And then he delivered that he was the special one. And then it stops. Klopp was mocked relentlessly at the start. He was celebrating, getting a draw at Crystal Palace with the fans. And he got a little bit of the mocking behavior. But then he started winning. Pep Guardiola, we don't like all this foreign muck, this tiki-taka football. Then he proved himself. So I think the mocking stops when you've got prestige. And I think the only weakness of Arteta, I don't really find him arrogant, but he's never vicious. Mourinho,
No.
if Klopp, vicious. If you get on the wrong side of Klopp, he will absolutely destroy your reputation in a press conference. Like scary men. Arteta has never really been vicious to a journalist, and you do wonder. Like sometimes you've got to see a little head roll, show the others what can happen to you. And Arteta never really does that. He's always pretty measured on that front. But I think picking on culture it's either from Luddites that don't really understand what the purpose is because they don't have to work in it, or a little bit of jealousy, that comes into play at the moment. But I love that he does this. He keeps these players engaged. They sign some new deals and they're performing at a really high level. Like if you don't like it, you don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. If when you marry kind of like Berta's pedigree in the marketplace, business wise, and then with Mikel, and I think a growing pedigree when it comes to being a manager, and they're always comparing him to Slot, of course, who won in his first season. You and I have discussed how he came into an architecture and a roadmap that was a lot different to Mikel, and also he had and inherited a few world-class players. But I think that with Mikel, the respect, and this is what I was saying to Andrew, it will not come until he wins something. Yeah. But I also think it's undeniable that you have to have some type of cachet to sign the players that we have. Berta has a lot to do with that. Otherwise, it would have happened under Adu, and it didn't. Of course, we got Declan Rice and we found some gems and stuff like that. But I don't know what it is, Pedro, but to me, something's different this season. And I don't know if that's me wanting it to be different or I just want to believe that it's different. But I know it's early yet, but I'm getting emotions from Mikel, but I'm not getting too emotional. The way he's handling the media, the way he's handling the darts, just speaking from a signature table, signing Saliba, re-signing Big Gabby, Waneri, Miles Lewis-Skelly. There's something different about Arsenal this season. Do you agree, or do you think I'm just clutching at this point because I want it so bad?
No, I think you're right. Depth. We have a deep enough squad. Did you see the pod of injured players sitting by the tunnel yesterday? There was a shot, and it was like Nkapie. It was, I think Calafiore was there. Gabby Jesus,
Havertz, yeah.
It's like that pod of players dropping out of our team last season ends your season. Season before ends your season. Right now, we're playing unbelievable football, and we've got unbelievable players not even dressed for the bench. I think the difference is we have great players coming off the bench. Players coming off the bench are stepping up. Nobody's sulking. Everybody's engaged in the mission. And you feel like it's got to happen this year. And I think that we've got the bodies to do it. So I think it feels different. And I think it really started to feel different after the Newcastle game. You're like, okay. When you can, there are a few things about that Newcastle win that said things are going to be different. Number one, we were fresh in the last 10 minutes. And, we're notoriously were gassing at the end of games last season. Number two, you've got players that you can bring off the bench that actually impact the game. And number three, you've got a squad of believers that are going at a really, really difficult team with good counter-attacking pace right into the 96th minute, believing they can do it. Like the belief off of that goal, but that last minute goal, Liverpool do it all the time. There's an art to it. There's a bit of luck to it, but there is an art to it. And that's really sent me. I'm like, okay, if we can do that against Newcastle, we can do that against anybody. So I'm feeling that the belief, the squad depth, and this feels like it's our time. It's got to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it feels like to me. And it's less of dreaming and it's more believing. It feels like the 23-24 season, because the season before was the improbable one, right? No one was really expecting us to do that. But the season after, I was like, you know what, we can win this. And the way they played, they believed that they could win this. But now, like when you talk about that squad depth, I actually think that our squad depth's better than Liverpool's. And, you know, everyone wants to kind of point the finger at Gyokeres and what he's not doing, but I think he's playing incredibly well. And I wanted to touch on him just real quick while we get into the footballing side of things too, in that, you know, you look at Liverpool's investment. Could you imagine if we'd have signed Florian Wirtz for the amount of money that we did and he'd been playing the way he has so far? The investment that they've made, the changes that Slot has made to his team stylistically, gone away from that trusted three midfield. Could you imagine if that was us? And I feel like as well, they want to just poke Gyokeres because he's not scoring in every game. But I think his last two games, his movement, his touch, his physicality, what he's doing off the ball as well, I actually think that he's playing better than ever since his first few games at Arsenal. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I agree. Like Gyokeres is not my kind of striker. Like, you know, people say that it's because I'm upset that we didn't get a Chesko, but I like you know, I like strikers with real superpowers, you know, the sort of Thierry Henry with the pace, the skill, you know, creating something out of nothing. He's not that striker. He's a very one-dimensional player, and he's very reminiscent of kind of like an Alan Shearer. And my problem with him at the start was he wasn't really making the right runs to be found. And I felt that he was weighed down by the shirt. He really wanted this Arsenal move, and he's kind of landed, and he looked like he had a bit of imposter syndrome about him. The Newcastle game, I loved it because he was relentless. He's getting his eyes gouged. He's getting lumped over. He just gets back up and he goes again and again. Adebayor was like that. Relentless. Just go again, go again. Nothing rocked him from a mentality perspective. And then last night, we're seeing players connecting with his runs. Players are like, oh, there's always going to be someone running those channels. There's always going to be someone. And watching Martin Odegaard pinging those left-footed passes into his path was an absolute dream. So because Kai Havertz doesn't make those runs. Jesus doesn't make those runs either. Gyokeres is going to make 10 of those every single game. And he's starting to look like he's going to be a volume player. Like, are we celebrating the same things that we celebrate with Kai Havertz? Oh, he works so hard. Oh, he's so strong. Oh, he's off the ball movement. A little bit, but at least with Gyokeres, the goals will come. That's his superpower, finishing. The goals will come. I was concerned that we weren't getting, he wasn't able to get into positions to score the goals. So, yeah, really promising performance last night. Really promising against Newcastle. We just need to see some of those goals going in because I want to see a 25-goal season striker. You know?
Yeah, no doubt about that. So we talk a lot about the new signings and what they've been able to do to our strength and depth. And it giving Mikel options, which it feels like he's evolved and he's already understanding.
Yeah.
And probably been told, you got to use all of these players. We cannot afford to lose players like we did last season. But a player that has been two players, we'll start off with the super captain, because so many people have called for his head. So many people have been saying he's not good enough. You know, I don't need to tell you what's being said about Martin Odegaard. And for me, I've been kind of going around with this notion in my head, the fire within is evident. It seems like that competitiveness is back, you know, position for position. Everyone knows that they're not guaranteed to start. When you can bring Odegaard off the bench, you know, in a game against Newcastle, he starts in the Champions League. it just feels to me that he seems and looks, I mean, I'm not going to say, back to fitness, but he looks sharp, Pedro. And seeing him play the way he did last night, I have to say, I was stoked for him.
Yeah, immense performance. I don't understand why Martin Odegaard is written off than any Arsenal player. One bad performance and everyone's like he's done. Like he carries a lot of hate for no real reason. I do think that his form had dipped. I think he came back from his injury too early in December.
No doubt.
Never really shook it off. I don't think people quite understand how difficult it must be to play with pain. And I think he was playing with pain, going through some life changes, new baby coming into his life. And he wasn't playing with people that were making the runs that he needed. Arsenal were not a very good attacking outfit last year. Goals created, confidence created. If you don't have a striker to aim for, it's very difficult to get a lot of, G's and A's going. So to see these performances so far this season, and they're looking so promising. I mean, the Mesut Ozil-like passing is back. He's picking out Gyokeres. He got the pre-assist. He gets the actual assist. He made an amazing pass to Miles Lewis-Skelly against Newcastle. It's just like out of this world. He's got X-ray vision. He's seeing through 3 or 4 players, and he's just waiting those passes absolutely perfect. But he looks fit. And I think that that's the key difference. He's had his haircut. Like, he looks fit. He looks mobile. He looks comfortable in his body. And if he can get back to, the form where he was getting 15 goals and 15 assists, then we're winning the Premier League as far as I'm concerned. And I do also wonder whether Eza coming into the squad is a little bit of a, oh, shit, he could take my place. So
Totally.
I love that he's stepping up. And he's also got a rotation option this year. We'll always forget Martin Odegaard, first name on the team sheet, and there's nobody to rotate him with. And now you've got Eza. Now you've got Ethan Munyeri. A season on, you don't even need a creative player in the team necessarily. So I'm really impressed with what he's doing, and he's dealt with a lot of criticism. I'm sure he sees it show up in his DMs. I think he's very mentally strong. Players love him, coach loves him. Martin Odegaard back to his best is great for everybody.
Yeah, and I agree with Cliff. Seeing him do it in a big game, consistently. That's what we need. Consistently showing up in those really big games, I think, is the next step for him. But as for the haircut, I mean, I have to say, I wasn't feeling my best. There's a lot going on. And I thought, you know what? I can't. I've got to take this hat off. It's killing me. And, you kind of, do your do. And he looks like someone who said, F it. I need a change, I can't imagine. And a lot of the times they say they don't see or I don't read, but they do. And they see and they hear.
And their friends send it to them.
Yeah. And their friends send it to them. And it has been vitriolic about him. And of all the players, he doesn't deserve it. And like Mikel said in the presser the other day, he doesn't have to. He's a silent leader. And Declan Rice has said it too. It's overwhelming that all the players want Martin to be captain. But that haircut, oof. There's something about it that makes me feel, I like vicious Martin. He looks vicious. He looks like he should be, in a scene out of Romper Stomper or a film like that. But it
is a bit like the sort of platoon haircut. Like it's when you're having a bad year and you don't go, I'm gonna shave all my hair off. I'm gonna shave all my hair off. We're gonna. I did want to ask. What do you think? The sort of silver spoon look that he comes with, speaks 5 languages, reads books on yachts for his vacation, never involved in any scandal, doesn't get red cards. He just, there's an air of privilege about him just on how he looks. Do you think that impacts him? Because I can't understand why anybody could muster the energy to dislike somebody that seems a very perfectly nice man, I don't get it.
I think there's merit to that. I think that comes from envy, right?
Yes, he's got it all.
He's got it all. It's kind of like, I know Ronaldo comes across as a narcissist and, Messi, everyone thinks is this sweet and innocent guy. To me, Messi's a teddy bear with a shotgun. Ronaldo, a lot of the vitriol towards him is jealousy. But then you have someone like Martin who lives life the right way, and Saka as well, right? We have good boys in our teams. I know Demian will say, I want a bad boy who's going to try and sleep with my mother. You know, he's given us that analogy before. But look at Jack Grealish, right? Oh, it's Jack. Goes out drinking, you know? There's something about our culture, I don't know, that likes a bad boy or what seems to be a bad boy. And if you're a good boy, you're boring and you're cringe. I mean, people call us cringe. People who've lauded Eze at Crystal Palace were calling his reveal at Arsenal cringe. That's not because he is cringe. You know, is it because he loves to worship God? No, there's something about Arsenal Football Club that just drives everybody insane. I've never seen anything like it.
I think I've got a pretty good filter for cringe. And I don't think anything Arsenal put out is cringe. And Eze is such just a cool guy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But it's you know what people hate more than anything? They hate looking at a project in football that they've been doubting, shooting for the moon. People really hate. They really hate to see it. And especially, you know, Man United have got a very sort of vitriolic fan base. So is Liverpool, and it's they see what's happening at Arsenal. They know what's happening, and when you feel like what you're watching, like if you're a United fan at the moment, every time they spend 400 million in the summer, they're like, "This is us. It's finally us," and then it goes to shit, and then they're looking at Arsenal like slow and steady. We spent a lot of money, but it's like that is a title-winning side right there, and what we have is not. And I hate seeing the success that's happening here, the potential success.
Because we're the only ones that are truly challenging the one of the greatest teams the Premier League has ever seen, right? In Manchester City. Not currently, but they have the pedigree and the recent culture to warrant the label. They've done the treble. Liverpool, who came out of their 30-year doldrum and won the league, won it again, won the Champions League. We're the only ones. And this is what I was saying on TalkSport the other day. I said, where is everybody else's challenge? I go, you guys keep poking because we finished second 3 years in a row. And it makes me defend my club more, even though I may be annoyed that we haven't won the league yet. I may be annoyed that Mikel picked a defensive team against Liverpool and seeing how Crystal Palace played against them. But it makes me want to defend my club even more so. And those teams haven't finished second. They haven't even challenged. Okay, they've gotten to Europa League final, Manchester United. They've won under Ten Hag. They won some domestic cups. But we're talking about competitiveness in the league. You know, we're the only ones that have been challenging. And it isn't right that we haven't won a trophy, but it isn't also a right to expect that you would just win a trophy. Of course you want it.
Yeah. No one wants to hear it, but being incredibly successful, being incredibly consistent and being in the top two in the most competitive league on the planet, narrowly missing out on big trophies. A lot of it, you know, at the highest level, I think it was Allegri. He was talking about, you know, because he had a fair amount of like Champions League success in like semi-finals. He went through a real period where he was being linked with all the big clubs because he was doing such a good job at Juve. And he was like, I've got to tell you, once you get into the semi-finals of the Champions League, it is a roll of the dice. It's the margins of error are so narrow. It's a roll of the dice. It's like Pep Guardiola took him a lot of attempts to win the Champions League at Man City with unlimited funds. So for Arsenal to be top two consistently, you know, playing it by the book to get into the Champions League semi-finals, it is success. We are where we want to be. The only thing you can ask of a team every year and a manager is I want to be in the running for major trophies. And then if you win them, fantastic. But it's difficult because everybody else is trying to do the same. This idea that people are like, if we finish second this year, it's time to get rid of Arteta. Hold on. You've got a very finely tuned squad, all geared around the manager. All of the players believe in us. Like last season, a lot of our season collapsed around those red cards at the start of the season. We had horrendous luck with the injuries. Like everything has to go right for Arteta, and he's been an unlucky manager. but he's been so good for Arsenal. We've doubled our revenue. Fans are connected to the club. Sponsorships are going through the roof. We don't lose players anymore. We can beat anybody on our day. And this year we've got a squad where we don't need any more players. That's the first time. When was the last time, as an Arsenal fan, your whole life, when was the last time you can remember going into a season and not being like, we need a defensive midfielder, a centre back, and a striker?
That's a great point. I cannot remember the last time
it's never happened.
I said no. For now, with what we've got, I can't remember the last time that I would have thought that. It's crazy. It really is. Do you think it's possible for us to? Because I see you bite sometimes too, and I bite. I mean, maybe it's that Greek kind of passion or whatever. But do you think it's possible for us not to bite when they bait? Because we all know why they do it. We all click on the clip. We all watch the clip. We all respond to the clip. Do you think it's possible for us to not take the bait?
I'm only interested in extreme opinions if they come from people that are kind of grounded in reality. Like there are some YouTubers, and they exist to live in the rage. They don't believe in the things they're saying. And Jamie O'Hara is one of them. He doesn't believe in the things that he's saying. He's just trying to get clicks. So it's like, I don't need to listen to it. Adrian Durham, like, unbelievable broadcaster, but he doesn't believe in the things he's saying. He's trying to pick out the thing that's going to get the most calls. It's going to drive the most ad revenue. If Clive or Elliot or Andrew come out with an extreme opinion, then I'll pay attention. I'll listen to it and I'll try and understand it. But I stay away from the extremist rhetoric on the outsides, on the fringes, that kind of drives a lot of internet conversation. And I actually think, the job that you do with this podcast, you're not looking for extremists on your show. You're looking for good, constructive conversation. Like, we're looking to get into the layered nuances of what's going on at Arsenal. And it's a little bit slower. You can't digest it in 25 seconds, but it's a much better way to experience Arsenal, I think. And it drives more traffic. Like, I think, like, more people listen to podcasts than the most mediums right now. Like, if you're just driving 100,000 views every now and then from saying something stupid, you're not really moving the conversation forward. No one really cares what you're thinking. You're just making an ass of yourself. So I try to stay out of that clickbait stuff. Do you indulge? I've
invited
indulge a little bit?
Listen, I'm definitely a broadcaster that loves to challenge a different opinion to me and to ask questions as to why. And look, Dan's been on my show many times. Dan's actually a good guy, but Dan Potts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his stuff.
Yeah. I mean, some people, Lee Judges has been on the show and he's been kind of crazy on AFTV. I invite people because I want to know why. I want to know why they feel the way they do. And a lot of the times, look, let's be honest, that also drives engagement and revenue, right? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie that, Dan's a friend, and I get it. It's a culture that he's built within the channel that works, and that audience expects that now and likes that now. But I also think what gets lost in that is that he's actually got really good football opinions, right? So when he does kind of like the one-on-one with Adrian Clark, like he did the other day, I love that. Like, to me, those are the kinds of conversations that I like to have, as you know, on this show. I can't do the 6 people raging at each other because they want to be heard. And one thing I think I would like to say is a lot of this toxicity that goes on, it's all men. It's like dick measuring. And it's so laughable because I could say something and someone will say, oh gosh, you're so emotional. And they'll say, oh, because you're a woman or whatever. But could you imagine if 6 women had a podcast and raged like that on every show?
No, they wouldn't do it. because it's not substance. There's no substance to it. I don't know who. I don't know. I don't know who's listening to it. It's like a lot of very young people. I get a lot of teenagers listening to it. But it's like you don't talk like that in a bar when you're with your friends watching the game at a pub or something. You don't talk to each other like that. You could, yeah, like I don't mind an extreme opinion, but like it's got to be grounded in something. And it's got like, I like to listen to stuff that helps inform how I think about stuff. Or I like listening to counterpoints that I don't like. You know, you've had very specific opinions about Arteta. It's good to listen to them. It's good to debate them. But just people yelling on a camera, it's like, who's consuming this? Who's consuming this? It's like built for clicks on YouTube. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't see any value in it. I don't really watch a lot of those people.
And I think it gets lost because those people actually do have, you know, good football culture. They've been going to the club for years and years and years, watching this team play. And I think that's what gets lost in it. I don't know if there's going to come a time when people are going to want, you know, things go in phases, right? Content, creation, technology, everything that we do, Pedro. And we're veered off here, but I kind of like it that we veered off a little bit. I don't know if people get tired of that. And maybe younger people like to consume that. You know, I don't know about your demographic on your show. We've got a lot of older listeners, Generation Xers. And I love that because I'm a Generation Xer. And that's who they relate to. An 18-year-old's really not going to relate to me as much. But I wonder because it's societal, right? Everything's a soundbite. Everything is a headline. Everything is a quick 50-second. Even when I watch foodie videos, I'm like, stop going too fast. I want to taste what you're tasting. You know,
Yeah.
Everything's quick and loud.
Yeah, I don't know what the demographics are of the people that consume that type of content. Like I understand getting emotional about the game, but I think the trend that I see is that stuff doesn't really do that well amongst the Arsenal fan base these days. I think people like listening to like longer form content. It's not pleasant to listen to people yell and talk over each other. And I don't think it's good for your mental health either. Like it's nice that like sometimes you see something, you're like, oh, I really connect with that fan. He's just come out the stadium, he's had 4 or 5 beers and he's raging because he's seen a referee do something outrageous. But I don't get in the car and want to throw that sort of stuff on. But each to their own, you know, there's little pockets of the internet for everybody. You know, I got a little following that want a certain type of content, and they want to come to the show when we're winning because they want to pump up the joy, and when they're losing they want to sort of try and figure out what their argument is, or like are they being too far to the right of something, too far to the left of something. It's but there is a massive Arsenal ecosystem out there, so there is something for everybody. I just I find that if you are raging about Arsenal and talking about Arteta out after 3 or 4 games, I think that you are being disingenuous, and I don't believe that those sorts of conversations, like so I've got a website as well. I write about Arsenal. I've been doing it for 18 years now, and people say stuff in the comments. Got a crazy comment section that, you know, goes like millions of people over the years have posted on there. And I always say to some people, I'm like, you would never say that in a bar. If we were sitting down talking, you would never say Mikel Arteta is worse for Arsenal than Sean Dyche. You just wouldn't say it, because people are like, mate, we got to have a serious. We're here to have an actual conversation. That doesn't, like, no one's going to engage in that conversation, but it exists in the internet and it gets like more pickup, and people say it on Twitter, and that's what gets the attention. It's like I think measured conversation is much more interesting, and getting different perspectives. You know, like some people are coaches, some people are, you know, there's something for everybody, but measured conversation wins out for me.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I could get passionate, and I could, you know, get angry and all of those things. I guess when it's vitriolic is what I'm talking about, and unnecessary, and sometimes the season is long. There's so many conversations to be had. There's going to be plenty of time to rage. And I mean, Kevin and I used to argue all the time, because at the time I didn't believe in Mikel Arteta. I just couldn't see it. Wait till he gets his players, Sophie. And I was like, no, Kevin, no. I mean, I've been there and I've done it, and I'm sure I'm going to do it again. But I just find it interesting, the kind of, once you're on that train, you're allowed to change your opinion and give someone credit. And I think the praise should be as loud as the criticism. And like you say, if we're 6 or 7 games in and you're asking for Mikel Arteta to be fired right now, that's the part I don't get either.
It's some people have an inability to deal with disappointment. And I appreciate that Arsenal have been, led us to disappointments over the years. But I've enjoyed the last 3 or 4 seasons of Arsenal sort of on the rise, competing, being in the Champions League and not worried that you're going to go out of the group stages. I've really enjoyed that side of things. And it's just like the inability to be like, Arsenal lost today, but the performance was really good. There was, and we just got unlucky. And sometimes that happens. This is sport. Liverpool are going to lose games this year. Man City are going to lose games, and Arsenal are going to lose games. And there's going to be ups and downs. But as long as you're in the mixer, as long as you feel like the players are giving it their all, as long as you feel like the manager, gave a good performance, the best that he could do, then you got to be happy with it. And it's like, just sort of bottle up that crazy emotion about wanting to burn everything down after something that doesn't go right for you.
Totally agree. Right, before well, there goes all my subjects. I don't know how I veered in that direction, but I like having these kind of conversations with you, because I do think that it's also a symbol of culture and anger, and everyone is its own news network, their own news network now. Everyone has a voice, and I love that people can have a voice and have a place and be able to be expressive. And I think we're just both in agreement that if it's homophobic, misogynistic, hateful, violent, then of course that's something that we don't agree with. Let's talk a little bit about West Ham before we go, because I'm a bit London derby. They've had our number at home a little bit. The Nuno manager bounce, I think, happened on Monday against Everton, although that's what I'm hoping for. What do you expect Mikel to do against West Ham, considering it's our 4th game in how many days?
I expect Nuno's going to play a deep block and try and hit Bowen with a long ball over the top. I expect Mikel Arteta to make this game really, really difficult for West Ham. I don't think we need to change a lot about the way that we approach the game. Like, we know what Nuno's going to do. I don't think West Ham have got great individuals in their side. I don't think that they are capable of putting on a successful deep block. They've been absolutely car crash all season. Nuno hasn't been there long enough to really get his ideas across. So I hope we go there with a vicious mindset and look to pick them apart. Like, this is an opportunity to score some goals, lay to rest a bit of a bogey team for us. I think it's 2 home games in a row that we've lost against West Ham. That's not good enough. And if we can get a result against West Ham, like, we're starting to turn around results that didn't go well for us last year. Like, this is a big opportunity. We've got through the terrible run. Now we have to be flat track bullies. And I am expecting us to be a flat track bully tomorrow.
Yeah, Saturday. I agree. And I think you can't have that type of result against Newcastle, Pedro, and not follow it up with a win against West Ham. So when we talk about consistency, competitiveness, moving along and showing that our culture is changing, our personality, our DNA, you cannot lose or draw to West Ham. Like, champions win these games. That's,
Yeah. And champions win these games early, and they take advantage of teams that are in a crisis. And West Ham are in a crisis, and we've got a few players that are on the cusp of, starting to get some real good form going. Like, I'm expecting something of Saka in this game. I'm looking for Gyokeres to show that he can smack up small teams. I'm looking for Martin Odegaard to get involved. And, like, you pulled up Declan Rice here. I mean, Declan Rice getting pulled off in a game against West Ham, I think it was last season. So you want to see him right the wrongs, and he was rested on the bench last night. So he should be explosive, ready to go. And hopefully we bring home 3 points. Don't make a meal of it.
Yeah, don't make a meal of it, indeed. I'm going to let you go and do some housekeeping bits. I said 40 minutes and I know you're a busy man, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you. And also, what's your parting shot for the squaddies? You know that we do that every single time we have you on. What do you want them to know?
I guess it's kind of like riffing off that conversation before. Like we had Colin Lewin on our podcast once, and he said, "Don't get too high on the highs and don't get too low on the lows." And I think that that's going to be the story of this season. We play in the most competitive league in the planet, and Liverpool spent 400 million this summer. Man City have spent 400 million since January. Spurs have spent a lot of money. Every club spends an absolute fortune. This no excuses stuff doesn't really cut it. Every team's spending a lot of money. Every team is trying to win the same trophy. Every team is competitive. There are going to be ups and downs this season. We're going to lose some games we didn't expect, and we're going to win some games by a lot that we didn't expect. It's like, just focus on Arsenal being competitive. I am sure come the end of the season, we are going to be fighting for the top of the league. And that's all you can ask from a team. You want to be competitive for a full season in the biggest trophies. And if we're there, hopefully it'll go for us. So my parting shot is like, stay focused.
Appreciate you, Pedro. Thanks for swinging by. And if you're not following the Arsenal Opinion podcast, please do so. And of course, one of the ones that does still write and writes good stuff, go check out LeGrove as well. We appreciate you and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Adios and at ease.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you soon. That was Pedro from the Arsenal Opinion podcast. Sorry, I'm not used to the hair. No hat. And I know I've been doing this all show. It's really driving me crazy, if I'm being honest. So if it's been annoying you, I do apologize. For those listening on our audio platform, you don't have to worry about it at all. Great comments for Pedro. Pedro is the champ. He really is. And the conversation I was having with him about the noise and the chaos and all that stuff, I guess I'm just trying to quiet the chaos a little bit. And maybe that's because of things that, sometimes going on in your personal life. There's just some stuff that doesn't become or seem as important. But football also helps you get through those difficult moments, right? And of course, it helps when your team wins and is playing well. But I truly do feel like there's something different about Arsenal this season. I don't think I'm kind of barking up this hope tree, hoping to pick things off the branch that, just make me feel good because I want to believe it. I just really, truly think that there's something different about Mikel Arteta. And I said that when I was talking earlier on with David Hillier and even as recently as this week with Clive and with Andrew. I believe there has to be something different if we're going to win the title, if we're going to win the Champions League, because you can't be the same every single year. You have to evolve. You have to get better. And I'm also really liking how he's using the squad and understanding that in order for him to succeed as a manager and for him to win, he's going to need to use every single player as well. And it's really funny because sometimes I see, maybe it's the mood I'm in, I don't know, you guys, but sometimes I see things that go viral and I'm like, yeah, but me and the squaddies talked about that. Me and the squaddies have talked about that with a guest, or we've said this and we've said that. And that's just the way of the world, right? But I was just talking to Andrew on Tuesday about why is Mikel Arteta so loathed? Why is he so hated? And then the whole RAF thing blows up, hence why I'm called Top Gunner today in my description as well, by the way. I just think it's a little much. I think it's good to challenge people, and I think it's good to have strong opinions and passionate. I mean, this is a Greek person here who's full of passion. Sometimes I'm just talking normally and Tony will say to me, why are you yelling? I'm like, I'm not yelling. I'm just talking. And I'm all for all of those things. But this monotonous, repetitive narrative, it's so boring. It's so tiresome. And it is geared towards Mikel Arteta, and it is geared towards Arsenal, or it is geared towards Gyokeres. And maybe because we're not in a Liverpool bubble and we don't see the Florian Wirtz criticism as much. And the same with Manchester United and Sesko, and why we don't see that as much. But in the main domain, it is us that is always kind of, the dartboard. And you hear me say that quite often. People, pissing on Gyokeres right now. And I just don't see it. I don't get it. And I'm really trying hard not to rise to the bait. And you know me, I'll always be passionate. I'll always be opinionated. I will always say what I truly think and I truly feel. But when it's calculated, when it's, done in a way where it's just for clicks and engagement, and because we have such a huge fan base around the world, they know that we're going to rise to it. I don't think I've wanted to win a title more than this season. I really don't. I mean, 23, 24, I really wanted to win it. By the way, I've been painting, so if my fingernails are dodgy. Anyway, I'm a hot mess right now. I'm not just a mess, not a hot mess. I didn't mean to say hot mess because you can't say that about yourself. I'm just a mess. I've never wanted to win a title more than this season. I just really want to shove it down everyone's throat. And I think most Arsenal fans feel that way, right? We want to win the title every single season, but I really badly want to win it this season. It's time. And I would love to shut everybody up. There would be nothing more satisfying than just being able to give the finger to everyone and have a parade, And it was actually Potsy who said it on this show about a year ago. He goes, the streets aren't ready if we win the title. And I don't think they are. And I don't think opposing fans are. And I don't think there's anyone on the planet who wants to do that more than Mikel Arteta, whether you like him or loathe him. There's nobody that wants the title more than him. If people think that the hierarchy don't want to win the title or don't care as much as we do, it's real nonsense. The only way I could equate it is to, like, when I was working at 20th Century Fox or Sony Pictures, and it was a big opening weekend of a movie, and Warner Brothers had a big opening weekend for the movie. We wanted to kick their ass. And it's our blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, it's not our marketing budget. It's not our dollars, but it's our campaign. We work together, whether it's TV spots, the poster, the interviews with the talent, the junket, the tour, the premiere. It is blood, sweat, and tears you put into a project, and it takes hours and weeks and months to build. And an opening weekend can just kill a movie if people don't go and see it. And studios lose millions of dollars all the time doing that. I mean, that's why they became reliant on Marvel Comics, because they sold at a bottom line. But that's drying up now too. And you're going to see a trend and a change in movie making, because that can't go to it as much now. And you're seeing, studios like Paramount, Greenlight Pictures. Anyway, I digress. But my point is that when you're in something together, you want it more than anybody else. And you want to kick everybody else's ass. And that's just the bottom line. And you guys know that in our daily life. Tug of war at school. You want to beat the opponent. You want to beat the other side. Darts with your mates, snooker, a round of golf, betting every hole. You want to win. You want to have bragging rights. Of course, it's at an elevated level when you're a multi-billion-dollar organization and, you've spent a lot and you've invested a lot and you've been criticized a lot and you just really want to win and you want to win bad. And that's kind of like where I'm at as well. Let me, Newman, Marvel is total dungball. Can we have a music and film industry pod too, please, Soph? I love your stories. I started the Showbiz Squad and kind of stopped because I'd get too sucked into the football side of things. But I really would love to do that. It is my ultimate passion. When I was younger, all I wanted to do was work in the entertainment industry. I saw the 20th Century Fox logo before Star Wars, and that was it. And all I did was write letters to 20th Century Fox every single week to hire me, where eventually they called me in for an interview. And I started off as a production assistant. And I'll show my age now, but the first movie that I worked on was Alien 3. And a really dodgy film with Michael Douglas and Melanie Griffith called Shining Through. Go check it out. It's probably free to watch on Hulu. Let's see. I don't know. It's nice to talk to you guys. It's been a rough time. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot going on in my life right now. And I'm sorry I had to cancel some shows. It's something that I really don't like to do. And I only do it if I absolutely have to. But sometimes some things are a little bit more important. And that's not to say you guys aren't important. You know that without you, it's tough. And maybe I'm staying on after Pedro just because and I'm talking, and I feel like I'm actually talking around in circles, if I'm being honest, talking about films and Paramount greenlighting 20 movies and Mikel Arteta RAF. But it just feels good to talk, even though I'm talking around in circles. Let's see. What's your question? So, why do your friends attack Arsenal and Gyokeres on ESPN and TalkSport? I can't control what my friends do. And by friends, do you mean Stevie Nicol and people like that? Stevie's got his opinion, you know, and I can't control what people say. When they come on here, G*3, I totally challenge them. I mean, and you've seen the shows with Stevie. I hope you have. Like we challenge him and we challenge his thoughts. Sophie, which movie have you acted? I haven't acted. I was an extra in a film called my friend's grandmother owned a casting agency. And one day she called, she said, my gran needs some background for a film called Hackers. We have to be in the city for the weekend. I mean, I was like 19 at the time, I think. It's with Angelina Jolie and Johnny Lee Miller. In the background in a scene at the Lloyd's building in London. Great weekend. Good craft services when you're on set. Although you do put on weight as well. Let's see, Alien 3, yeah. David Fincher, what a great visionary director. Maybe sometimes at the end of shows, I'll just talk a little bit about this stuff because it's fun. I mean, I've worked with some really amazing filmmakers, and it's been a blast working with them. And I mean, some great stories. So I'm more than happy to share them with you. Right. That's it. Layer cake. No, but my good friends in layer cake, Tama Hassan, who is a family friend and an epic human and a guy I love, and a guy who keeps telling me he's going to come on the show when we play Chelsea, but then he's always doing something or shooting a film or busy. But I will track down Tama and we will get him on the show. Absolutely. Hackers 2, you were quite active in the 90s. Is that a reference to my comment to Tom Canton a few weeks ago? That's funny. Dave loves the Lloyd's building. Jay says, great movie. What are the recent movies you work on? I haven't worked on a film for a long time because I've been here busy with you guys. One of the last films, I've been more in sports the last, 8 years or so. I think the last film I truly worked on set was with Haley Steinfeld, Sophie Turner, Jessica Alba, and Samuel Jackson, a film called Barely Lethal with Steve-O from, oh my God, what's that crazy MTV show where they used to do crazy things? Steve-O and Johnny. Anyway, he's crazy. He would do crazy things on set. That was fun. That was a fun cast. That was a fun movie. Samuel Jackson, I mean, come on. That's good stuff. I have to remember because I have done some projects recently, but my mind is escaping me right now because all I do is I'm focused on football and Arsenal, and prepping for shows, trying to find interesting arcs and threads to talk about and get good guests for you guys. Jackass, thank you. He was doing Jackass things on set. Wow, what a nut job. That was, there's some sets that are fun and some where you step on the set and you're like, oof, I can feel the ice from here, crazy stuff. Yeah, I worked on a project with Katherine Heigl a little bit ago. She's lovely, gets the wrong rap. This is why you shouldn't believe everything you read. Katherine Heigl is actually a really lovely human. Most of the boys are like Katherine Heigl, and we don't watch 27 Dresses. Anyway, yes, Sophie GOT Turner. I actually have her number in my phone book. Yeah. She is an awesome, epic human being, let me tell you. And when I met her, she was younger, and to see her blossom the way she has and her career kind of unfold. When I met her, she was in the midst of the GOT insanity of it being the biggest show on the planet and the biggest show in the world. And yeah, she was great. She's a very, very good girl. I have a young one story. I'm going to save it though for the next episode. How about that? I'm not lying when I said I've worked with quite a few people. The Young Ones was my show in the 80s. I have VHS tapes at my mum and dad's house with all of the Young Ones episodes on there. Red vegetable rice and peas. My favorite episode is Flood. It's genius. And this is very early on in my career. This will tell you my age, but I was at I was working, one of the first premieres I worked on was a film called Hot Shots with Charlie Sheen. And Rick Mail was at the event, as were a lot of those comedians from that era in the late 80s, 90s. And it was one of the best parties ever. And when I met Rick Mail, I literally lost my mind. I was like, oh my God, people were going crazy and fawning over Charlie Sheen. And I was obsessed with Rick Mail, who was just hilarious, absolutely hilarious. So yeah. Anyway, how about we end there? It's been great chatting with you guys. Love you lots, like orange juice shots. Have a sip. Let's see. I'll be back next time. Let's do a post-game show after West Ham. All right. And let's hope we win. Let's hope it's a positive result. And let's start doing stuff like this too. Music, film. You know, I love it. We used to do it a lot on Fridays, that Freestyle Friday show. So we can definitely bring it back. Until then, make sure you share the show with your friends. Hit that like button on the way out. Be safe. And thank you for those of you who've sent me messages. It means a lot to me. My Chief Like Officer, Tammy Steels, who's an absolute rock. Totally adore you. And, you know, if you like candles and things like that, do that. It's, you know, about that time of year. And yeah, there's a lot going on, but here we are and we'll stick together as always. And I love you. And don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. At ease, and I'll see you soon, squaddies.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Newman, if I could keep the chat live for you while I end the stream, I would do it. All of you. And a shout out to Carol, Mark, and Matty as well. Everyone in chat. See you later. Love you guys.